the meat and potatoes. Let's get some growth potential happening. Let's get some excitement going for those of you who are in a place where you think you might be needing to hire somebody soon. You're getting pretty busy. You're doing both administrative tasks and coaching and marketing and sales. You are wearing all of the hats. And even if you are not there yet, you hopefully will be there soon. Let's dive in to what you got to do to get some help, okay? So hiring your first support person, I believe, is a much harder step to take in your business than actually launching a business. I want to be super honest about this. Like, launching is hard. Don't get me wrong. It's a ton of work and it takes a lot of hustle. But man, this next step takes some serious coordination and likely a completely different set of skills that you haven't had to use before. Okay. So it's hard for a lot of reasons. Oftentimes, the business owner, like I said, is doing all the things. You're very busy doing all the things. And I think there's actually value in doing all the things when you first start. You learn what you like and what you don't like. You learn how to put together a system or a workflow or a client journey. And if you haven't ever done that before, like I know I came from corporate accounting. That really wasn't anything I ever had to deal with before. I didn't know what I liked and didn't like. I really needed to be hands-on with it while I figured out the parts of that worked for me and which parts didn't. So it is really valuable that you get to learn the ins and outs so that you can train another person how to do it and also set a very clear expectation of how you want it done and why those steps are important, okay? So it's good that you do all those things. But then at some point, it becomes ever more important for you to focus on revenue generating activities in order to grow your business. So you need to hire a person to free up your time. I'm gonna change my notes here a little bit. So you need to hire a person so that you can free up your time so that you can then coach more probably. But you need to work harder to make the money to be able to pay the person that you want to hire. So it's definitely a catch-22, a little bit of like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So the first thing that I want to do is just dive into the logistical part of like hiring and getting ready to train somebody and getting ready to hire somebody first. And then we're going to dive into more of the mental and emotional aspects of it. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do, if you have not already done this over the next month or so, maybe 2 to 4 weeks, is start writing down everything you do. It does not matter how small or how minimal. If anything, the small stuff, super important to write down, in fact. So it doesn't matter what it is. I want you to write it down on a sheet of paper. So once you do that for about 2 to 4 weeks, move everything onto a separate sheet of paper that anyone else could do besides you. So there are likely things that only you, the business owner, can do, like coaching clients, or going live in a Facebook group, sharing money tips and strategies and your philosophy on how you want the group to go, right? Everything else that someone else could do for you, though, the idea is that you want that to get moved to a separate sheet of paper, okay? Next, I want you to pick 10 things that you could delegate to someone else fairly quickly and easily. I want you to record Loom or Zoom videos of you doing it the next time you do those tasks. Because again, likely you're still doing these things repetitively, right? Like it's still part of your routine. So I want you to actually record yourself doing them, talking through each step. That way all the training videos are done before the person even gets hired. I want you to put all of these, at least 10 of them. You can do more, but you got to have at least 10, okay? Put all of these in a folder like in Google Drive or in Dropbox and title it training videos. Okay. The next thing that I want you to do is that you begin the hiring process. You begin looking for the right person, which is a whole separate video. We can get Michael involved talking about the Colby and how to find a person who takes action on things the way you need them to. So we will dive into more of that in a future video. But the idea is that this is actually not until you've recorded training videos and gotten really organized on the things this person can actually take off your plate do you begin the hiring process, okay? So at around the same time that you're interviewing, what I want you to do is ask yourself, what does this person need in order to do the job well? So do they need access to certain computer programs? Do they need a phone line? Do they need access to your inbox? And so if that's the case, do you want to change your password to be like, a whole set of business passwords? That way it's not also with your bank account or something like that, Do they need a computer? Is there anything that you need to set up ahead of time so that the first few days that this person is on board, it goes really smoothly? Things like Acuity, for example. So I have an account with Acuity, but I have my assistant is set up as a user. So she's got her own login and everything like that. And I also have my own login. So I was able to set that up in advance. So is there anything that person needs, another login or another user, or is it just something you're going to give them your access credentials to? So I want you to look at your list of 10 things that you have training videos for, and I want you to rank them in order of how you will train the person on those tasks. It's just really normal that some things are more important than others. So that's where you really want to start to get organized around, like, what am I going to do first? What am I going to teach them second? What am I going to teach them third? And I want you to visualize yourself teaching those first 3 responsibilities, because likely as you're doing it, you're going to realize, wow, I can't actually teach them this until I teach them something else, or I explain something else that's also really important about my business. One of the things for us on our team is we have to teach our coaching process, like how we get clients set up, the budget by paycheck, that whole thing, because literally day one, they're going to start seeing those come in from clients. And so they need to understand not just the systems and the flow, but our entire coaching philosophy, right? So we start with that and how important it is. We also, every single person on our team is expected to maintain that budget and have a budget. They get free coaching as being part of our, on our staff. So they get a session every single month with their coach. To me, it is just really important to know that they are supported in all ways. I want to coach my employees up. If they stay with me forever, wonderful, but I actually want them to achieve their dreams. And I totally understand that sometimes their dream is not being my assistant for, 20 years kind of thing. So if they can support me and I can support them in that way, then to me, that's a win-win scenario. So, but the idea is you want to be really organized about how the training is going to go at first. So your time, if you think about it, is going to be taken away from revenue generating activities when this person comes on board and you're spending time training them. So you want to be as streamlined and as efficient as possible. You want to have it scheduled as soon as you know their start date, so you are available to them. You want to have your calendar blocked off, or maybe it's just a slightly less intense meeting schedule or something like that, because you do need to be accessible. Little side tip here, find a project that they can do so that if they are working on something, but they have a question for you, but you're in a client meeting or you're, in a position where they can't, reach you, you don't want them to just be like, sitting and doing nothing. So it's really great to have some sort of project that they can work on to pass the time until they are able to ask you the question that they have and then move on forward with whatever project or, task they were, currently working on, kind of thing. So some ideas for that is CRM organization or data entry. So if you've got like a whole bunch of people or a bunch of business cards with networking people that you just haven't been able to add into your CRM and you use one, that's a really great thing, because you teach it to them one time and they just can keep doing it. And oftentimes, whether they get through 10 business cards or 50 of them, it doesn't really matter. It's not super time sensitive, right? You can have them updating contacts, cleaning out your inbox, possibly organizing a space in the office. If this is like a live in-person assistant, maybe there's like one, the file cabinets need organized, or maybe it's like, hey, here's our client list. I need you to compare this to the file cabinet and pull out any clients that, have files that are old files or something like that. Watching some of the training videos that you recorded is also a really great way for them to pass the time. That way, when you go to train them on it, is not the first time that they have seen that material. Now, I will say, I personally like for there to be some live training happening as well as the videos. But when it comes to asking questions, so let's say it's something that they need to do once a week. Well, they can kind of forget in that week what they just did because it was a week ago and they only did it one time. So the training videos are, I will do it with you one time. And then after that, You have to watch the video, attempt it yourself, and then I will provide feedback or answer any questions you have. So the idea is that it's not necessarily how I start the training, but it absolutely helps so that when they've got questions or they're repeating, rinse and repeat kind of thing, they're totally a bit more self-sufficient than coming to you with every question, okay? And then you begin to train and delegate to that person consistently. Of course, with check-in appointments, there's so many other conversations we can have about this that we can do other videos for, such as communication filters, how to create systems for communicating, checking in. I like to have times throughout the day where my assistant knows she can reach me. That way I am not getting like pinged, and constantly getting distracted throughout the day on whatever it is that I need to work on. So we can dive into that in another video as well. But I wanted to first tell you what we teach here at Fiscal Fitness is like a process of training a new person, and it is how to delegate. So when Angela came on board, Sherry was actually responsible for training her since she was taking Sherry's old position. And this is the process for delegating and training a person effectively. This is what we use day in and day out. And it is 7 steps. So if you want to write down 1 through 7, here they are. The first thing is to show the individual something new. So train them on it for the very first time. Step number 2 is to do the task together. So actually have them watch you. Maybe you have them do one and then you do one, whatever the case may be. But the idea is you, step 1, show them. Step 2, you actually do it together. Step 3, you have that individual show you how he or she would do it if they were to do it on their own. So you are right there sitting with them, but they are going to do it from start to finish, and you're going to be providing feedback along the way, but they're essentially going to be doing it, as if they were doing it on their own, okay? So that's step 3. Step 4 is to actually have the individual do the task on their own. You are not sitting there. You are maybe in another room, or if you guys are virtual, then they are literally doing this task on their own. And then you will review the task or the result for accuracy, okay? And then once you review it, you provide feedback like, hey, this all looks good. There was this one piece that I think was off, or whatever the case may be, right? You will want to repeat steps 4, 5, and 6 a number of times until the oversight or the review period is no longer needed. So let's say in 4, 5, and 6 are that you have them do it on their own, you review it, and you provide feedback. You only have to do that until you find that you no longer have to provide feedback. Okay, so those are the 7 steps that we follow, but the idea is that you don't want to be sitting with somebody or having 2 people doing the same task over and over and over again for too long. At some point, the best way to build confidence quickly is to allow a person to do it and think through it as they do it. And if you are, sitting over their shoulder doing it or watching them, it can be really hard. Sometimes they get nervous or something like that. And so it's really important for you to just take a step back and allow them to try it and let them know this is part of the process. This is part of the learning, that you're going to do it. And I expect there to be mistakes or things that aren't correct. And you know what? We're going to fix them. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be okay. But this is the way we do things, is that you're just going to dive in. And I trust that you can, tackle that, right? So that is the process. Let's talk about the emotional journey. So hiring your first assistant is actually super bizarre. And I know it was for me. And that's exactly why I want to talk with you guys about what to expect so that you don't think you're crazy if you also experience it. So the first thing that I think is really important for everybody, whether you're looking to hire your first assistant or not, I think it's really important for each of us to identify our zone of genius. So that is the thing that you could do all day, every day, and never tire of it. It is the thing that you do and you kind of lose track of time, or you lose track of yourself. You sort of get lost in it, right? And I want you to get really clear on what that is. Like, do you just get fired up by a coaching session? Do you love going live in your Facebook group? Do you love creating things for your business or new concepts for clients to learn? Those are some of my favorite things, and I feel like they are my zone of genius, and I could do them all day, every day, and never tire of it, sort of thing. So now what you might be thinking is that all of these other things, all of the things that aren't in your zone of genius are, like scheduling clients or updating the billing for things or sending a gift in the mail when somebody first starts with you, right? Sending a card on birthdays or when someone pays off a debt or, any number of things. You might be thinking, how about like coordinating a one-to-one with a referral partner and going back and forth sometimes on scheduling that, right? Like you might be thinking, but these are easy and they don't take that much time really. And it's not that big of a deal if I just keep doing them. And as Jessie said, she was like, is it lazy of me to not do these things? And I know for me, I often think, God, these tasks are kind of boring and they're so routine. And while I can do them, I actually do them pretty well. I don't love doing them, right? It doesn't fill my cup and it doesn't energize me. And I feel badly giving these types of tasks to someone else because is someone else going to want to do these boring tasks? And maybe I'll just do it, myself. It's not that much time. It doesn't take that long, right? But here's the shift that I've made over the years, and it's helped immensely, and it's what I want to give to you. These tasks may not be in my zone of genius, which is why I think they're a little boring or a little tedious, but they are absolutely, positively in someone else's zone of genius. And my goal is to hire a person who loves doing these types of tasks so much that it gets them fired up and they love doing it. They love ending the day feeling as if they accomplished something, because these tasks, while they may not fill my cup, they absolutely can fill somebody else's in a way that they will never be able to do that for me. Okay. So an assistant for me, they love seeing the systems completed and checking things off a task list, right? They love routine and doing things systematically and knowing that they're efficient and productive. And they don't consider this stuff boring at all. Like I think about Sherry and, when Jill, Michael, and I, we are idea people. We love to come up with ideas, and during our team meetings, we are just riffing, and it's like, oh, we could do this and we could do that. And Sherry is like, oh my God, her head is spinning because that is not her zone of genius. She doesn't love it. What she wants to do is take all of that, put a nice plan together, create checklists for it all, get it all on the calendar, get it all organized, get it all in the project management software. She wants to get it organized. She does not want to have to come up with all the ideas and get excited about those, right? She wants to be the execution type person, okay? And if anything, where I have learned to be careful is when I get in her way. And I'm her boss, so she can't tell me this, but I'm sure there's plenty of times where she's like, would you just get the hell out of my way and let me do this, Kelsa, because this is what I'm good at. This is my zone of genius. You go do your zone of genius, right? And at the same time, I want you to think about the fact that you are giving someone an opportunity to thrive doing something that they enjoy, and that is a beautiful gift. And at the exact same time, you're giving yourself the gift of more time in your own zone of genius. So your own days will feel more fun. They will create so much more for you and your business, and your whole business will likely soar as a result, okay? The other thing is, oh my God, I totally just had a brain fart. What was I going to say? The other thing about zone of genius, doesn't matter. I got more to talk about. I'll come back to it. I'm sure I'll think of it. So you guys have heard me talk about zone of genius, and this is what I think. Yes, I just thought of it. You may be capable of doing the task. It's not that you're not capable, and it's not that you don't have the drive or the work ethic or the ambition or the street smarts or the skill set to do it. It's that you have better things to do with your time, okay? You have things that only you can do, and you need to do as much of those things as possible and less of everything else. So you've heard me talk about the zone of genius, which is the thing that you could do all day, every day, and never tire of it. And you've likely heard me say many times on these videos before about my zone of incompetence. My zone of incompetence is writing, and that is something that I feel terrible at. Takes me 10 times longer than what it would take anyone else. And even after all that time, I still don't like the result. I still don't think it sounds very good. And I'm miserable while I am trying to do it. Okay, that is your zone of incompetence, is the thing you hate, you're terrible at it, and you probably just have to like force it, and then you're not even happy with the result anyway. Okay, so those are like the two ends of the spectrum, your zone of incompetence and your zone of genius. The other zone that I really want to quickly talk about, and I think this is important for you, Jesse, is this is actually your biggest trap, and that is your zone of excellence. This is the biggest trap of all, because you're probably actually pretty good at your zone of excellence. So you're actually good at these types of things. You don't even really hate it all that much. You're like, I could do this. I'm capable of it. And when I do it, I actually do it pretty well. And I'm not even miserable while I'm doing it. And the result's fine, right? But it doesn't fill your cup like your zone of genius does. And that's why it's a trap, because we tell ourselves, I can do this just fine. I can do this well enough, and I already know how to do it, and I'm fast at it. So in other words, what I know, I tell myself all the time, or at least I used to especially, is it's easier if I just do this myself, right? So the reality is that people don't spend too much time in their zone of incompetence, and they don't spend a long amount of time there because typically you're miserable in your zone of incompetence. Like you truly are like despising whatever that activity is. But if you're not careful, you can easily find yourself stuck in your zone of excellence for way too long, because it's not that bad. But every moment that you are in your zone of excellence, you are not in your zone of genius. And that's the tragedy of it. Excuse me. That is the tragedy of it. Okay. So for you, what I want you to think about, Jesse, you're having a great business. Your business is taking off. It's doing amazingly well. You maybe don't need this person tomorrow, but you've got some steps that you can put in place to make sure that they are able to hit the ground running for you. And you want to hire the person so that they can be in their zone of genius and you can be in yours. Get out of your zone of excellence and spend more of your time doing what you do best and what you truly love and enjoy. Okay. So, and instead, Jesse, of feeling that perhaps you're too lazy or just don't feel like doing this stuff, which of course is not it. Focus on the fact, and this is for everybody, okay? Focus on the fact that your brain, as the owner of your business, your brain is the most important part, and you are going to give someone an amazing opportunity to do what they do best so that you can do the same for yourself, okay? You've got to protect everything going on in this brain and spend, your time thinking about the things that are most important for the business, and delegate the things to somebody else that they're really good at thinking about too. Okay, so I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to end the video and then I'll go back and comment on your comments. And Jesse, I of course want to hear from you, but I want to hear from you guys as well. Have you hired somebody in the past? And tell me what your thoughts about this process is, this emotional journey. It's really similar, even if you haven't done this for a business yet. If you've ever hired like a housekeeper for the first time, here's a challenge that I have for you. If you have a housekeeper, here's what I want you to do. Chances are when your housekeeper comes, you're busy, right? You're working or you're doing something else, or you're taking care of the kids or whatever the case may be, right? If you are lucky enough to have a housekeeper, chances are you're working while they are working. I want you, the next time, or maybe not the next time, but one of these times that your housekeeper comes over and cleans your house, while they are cleaning, I want you to sit and watch TV. I want you to take a nap. I want you to just do nothing and see how awkward that feels. To know that you are simply taking care of yourself and maybe just relaxing, resting, replenishing your energy, doing whatever it is, while you are paying someone to do some of the like crap work for you, right? Like cleaning your house, scrubbing your toilets, mopping your floors, and that kind of thing. It is a super bizarre feeling, I want to be honest, but I also think it's a really valuable journey to go down. And it is something that helps you to trust and respect your own energy, your own capacities, like really your own zone of genius so much more. Let me know what you guys think. I can't wait to read your comments. And thanks for tuning in to this video. I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Valentine's Day. Bye.